Hello and welcome to The Hub on Vital MX, your one-stop shop for motocross news from around the world. And this week we have a variety of news, including a couple of injury updates. We haven't had to do those in some time. In fact, it's been a fairly quiet winter period from that front. Touch wood, of course, we still have 5 weeks or so until 2025 Monster Energy AMA Supercross fires into life. First off, Dean Wilson took to social media with a passionate message earlier this week as he injured his shoulder in an incident with Vince Friese at the third round of the FIM World Supercross Championship in Perth, Australia.
Through the pack, trying to get around Vince, and got around him, passed him nice and clean after the loops, super clean. I'm moving forward, I got 3 guys in front of me. He just doesn't even try to turn, just completely blindsides me. Didn't even see it coming once again. There was no build up to this. I haven't had any beef with him since A1. Like, there was nothing. Like, he just completely fucking drove it into me. People behind me that were in the race said they've never seen someone get hit so hard.
The post that Dean shared contained a lot of passionate comments about Vince Friese's rough riding, why he hasn't been penalised up until this point, and when it will end. But ultimately, the crux of the situation is the fact that Dean dislocated his shoulder, tore his labrum, and that now puts all of his upcoming activities in jeopardy.
Where's the punishment? You know what I mean? Like, now he's actually hurt someone. I don't know what his next goal is to paralyze someone. He never gets penalised for anything he does.
He was, of course, scheduled to compete in the British Arena Cross Series as well as the Arena Cross World Tour, the final round of WSX in a week's time, of the WSX Open this weekend, and he was also scheduled to race in Germany in January. If he has surgery, all of that will be scrapped, but the decision about whether he will in fact have surgery is still being made, so watch this space. Colt Nichols went down hard in Perth as well, but he fared much better than Dean. He took to social media to say this: "Feeling beat up today, but nothing crazy, so rest up and see what the next few days brings. Thanks to everybody for checking in." Colt has another week, or just less than that, until the WSX finale in Abu Dhabi, and if he cannot make it there, the Pipes Motorsport Group will have to find a fill-in rider per the WSX rules. Teams cannot leave a bike vacant in that series. And speaking of the series, they also were involved in some Vince Friese controversy over the weekend. Friese made it into the super final on Saturday night, despite the fact that he didn't qualify. Matt Moss, who did qualify, was bumped for the unqualified Vince Friese, if that makes sense. Friese raced, finished 12th, I believe, in the super final from memory, and later WSX released this statement. "As the sanctioning body of WSX, the FIM last night made a decision in relation to a race process error which occurred prior to Saturday's 2024 WSX Australian Grand Prix. Vince Friese was mistakenly included in the super final lineup instead of Matt Moss. Such error was not due to the fault of any rider, team, or WSX. In accordance with FIM protocol, the FIM has since confirmed that the relevant race results will still stand as completed despite this error." So ultimately, Matt Moss loses out for no reason at all, and Vince Friese gets to keep the points that he never should have had in the first place. This circles back to Dean Wilson's frustration that Friese seems to land on his feet more often than not. Over in the United States, some interesting news this week that the Liquimoli Beta Racing team will use Bridgestone tyres in the 2025 SuperMotocross World Championship. Bridgestone has been missing from competitive motocross in the USA since 2009, so this is quite an exciting comeback, and who knows where it will lead. Bridgestone will also be involved in beta across various championships like the AMA National Hare and Hounds, GNCC and whatnot. Beta will of course be represented by Benny Bloss and Mitchell Oldenburg in Monster Energy AMA Supercross. Now, finally, the news that has dominated headlines this week, and that is KTM's financial situation. In an official statement, KTM said this: "KTM which has grown from 160 employees and a production volume of 6,000 units in 1992 to a capacity of up to 1,000 motorcycles per day, is now facing significant hurdles. To address these, KTM will initiate a legal restructuring proceeding with self-administration. The application will be submitted on Friday, the 29th of November, so this week, with the goal of concluding the process within 90 days.
We have chosen this path in order to remain capable of acting and to lead KTM back on track.
Also speaking in an Austrian newspaper, the Salzburger Nachrichten, Pit Byrer said this: "We will stay in all of the series that we are in. Whatever we do it with 100%. We are now in a very difficult phase, and we, as the motorsport department, will do our part to stabilise the company. We are part of the family and we have to stick together now." Now, briefly, my understanding of this is these issues impact the production line much more than they do motorsport, which is where all of the racing takes place. It's my understanding that motorsport, although part of the bigger picture, is almost a separate entity, its own company in a way. Obviously not that black and white, but to a degree, I do understand that that is the situation, hence why motorsport and those involved in motorsport are not panicking about the future or competitive aspirations in 2025. So you will see Chase Sexton at Anaheim 1, you will see Jeffrey Hurlings in Argentina. All of that is without doubt. I think it's important to set that record straight, and that is fact. So, anyway, what do we have this weekend? Just one event, actually, WSX Open, which will include Jet Lawrence, Hunter Lawrence and Cooper Webb in the 450 class. That will be paired with the final round of the Australian Supercross Championship. Joey Savacci and Shane McElrath lead those respective classes. Now that D. Wilson is likely to be out, Joey Savacci should have no trouble riding to the SX1 title, and Shane McElrath has been mostly unchallenged in SX2, so there shouldn't be much drama there, but it will be very interesting to see the Lawrences versus Webb once again. Worth noting that Webb should be on his full factory bike, whereas the Lawrences will be on production-based motorcycles. So just bear that in mind. Also, before the next episode of The Hub, there will be the WSX finale in Abu Dhabi. And a little note, I personally will be going to Angel Stadium next week for the media events that NBC and Feld hold prior to the new season. That's where they gather hero shots and do all of the housekeeping that has to be done before the new season. Thank you to Feld Motorsports as part of a new program. I, as well as other select members of the media, will get a chance to talk to every single rider across that event. So a lot of insight coming on Vital MX and other channels in the not too distant future. We'll see you next week.